All right, welcome in, boys. We are live. Keg and Coop back for Take It to the Bank Bristol. Fresh off a nice 16-1 winner at Watkins Glen. Coop, I remembered where we were last week. How are
That's
you?
true. You didn't even have to ask me.
How are you, my friend?
Doing okay. Been better, but it is what it is. So we just keep moving on.
I don't like you. You're fucking. I'm the one that's down all the time. You're the happy guy all the time. Like this is not working for me.
Yeah,
I don't. This
yeah,
is. I don't like this dynamic.
yeah. Well, we'll move on.
Cheer up, Charlie.
So
How are you? All right, all right, all right. I know how you are. What were your thoughts on Watkins Glen last week? We managed to pull off a winner. We
yeah,
had like a split second to get it in. I wish that we were able to get our guys on it, but probably very few people got it because it happened so fast, which sucks. But that's the game sometimes. What were your thoughts at Watkins Glen?
my thoughts at Watkins Glen was they really need to develop that tire for more tracks that wears like what we saw at Watkins Glen. It definitely helps the racing. I don't know if it's a great advantage or anything like that for betting because it brings in more unpredictability and it makes it harder to figure out.
Right.
But I think on the other end, we're good enough to be able to beat the bet books most of the time and still get good numbers. And what I mean by that is like if you look at that race, when was the last time that Hendrick Motorsports and Joe Gibbs Racing was irrelevant in an entire race
At Watkins Glen,
at any race?
probably a while, but
Right.
especially Watkins Glen.
Right. I mean, Hendrick came in there winning the last five races. So I think that just goes to show you what, this tire um, that could potentially wear, can do to the series. And I, I mean, look, it's going to make us tough to live bet, pre bet, but the books are in the same predicament as what we are. You know, it would be all new to them too. So I'm for it. I hope it happens. The early indications from what I guess we're seeing here at Bristol is this tire's not going to wear like it did in the spring,
Right.
which isn't good because we know what the short track package delivers, and it's just a bunch of follow the leader.
Yep.
You saw how tough it was to pass tonight. Imagine what it's going to be like tomorrow night.
Amen.
Um, the cars are closer to each other in speed in the Cup Series than what they are in the Xfinity Series, and it could be a very tough night tomorrow night to pass.
How
Um,
impactful how impactful was the resin in the first race this year? I don't remember. Like, did it make the
you don't
tire wear a decent amount?
you don't remember.
I don't remember. I'm sure we probably had a great win. I barely remember what I ate for dinner.
I don't know if we had a win or not. Denny Hamlin, was there, but it was tremendous, tremendous because there
So,
were.
so why do you think the resin isn't taken this time?
That's a good question. Because yeah, Iowa. How do you not remember? Um,
Meyer, why don't you
bec-
come on here?
yeah, Adam, come on. Um, because it's interesting because they did the tire test in the summer in the blazing heat. All right, and from what they said, all right, was they had the same results as what they had in the spring. You know, and then they come back And, from what we saw today, William Byron, fell off 0.3 of a second in 30 laps. In the spring, like, you fell off tremendously. Because I completely remember, like, in the spring, Ty Gibbs, there was a point in the race where he went from like 16th to first in like 10 laps. And at the same time, when his tires fell off, he went from first to 16th in 10 laps.
Oh, now I remember. They gave us extra sets too, right?
Yeah, they were scrambling around for extra sets and
Yeah.
everything.
Now I
And
remember.
and the rumor is, and I think, Adam might be able to chime in on this too, was the tires that they used at Bristol were really old tires. Like, they weren't new.
Oh, they had been sitting around.
They had been sitting around for a while, and I don't know if that had something, to come, to deal with it or not. But, because I remember that conversation, and like I'd never really thought about it, before. Like, I figured, that like Goodyear built a tire, and they were all manufactured within the same day or two or time, whatever. But like, these tires were old, and some teams had older tires, and some teams had older tires. you
Right.
know, so really weird. So I don't know. And then hey, maybe tomorrow night it does kick in. Who knows? It's a little bit cooler tomorrow night. They ran the track tonight. Maybe that helped out with the resin. I don't know. But I think you got to go into this thinking that they're not going to wear
Where?
like they did in the spring.
Right. Yeah. And Matt Jones, who was at the race, said it was a little cold in the spring. I had to wear a jacket out there. The only thing that I would add to what you said earlier about us getting the number and being able to beat the books is I'm always for it because, yeah, we're good enough to identify it before the books 95% of the time. And the only way for you and I to catch 16-1 numbers live like we did for 2.5 years straight is volatility. Like, we need those tires to wear in order to not just be having to bet guys at 3-1 that
Right.
are out front the entire race. So I'm with you. I'm for the tire wear because I'm for the volatility. It's the only way that you and I are going to get those numbers live. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it's a little tougher at these short tracks to identify drivers who are coming
Because of the traffic.
because of the traffic, and also just the laps are so close to each other.
Yeah.
Like, even on a mile and a half, they're similarly close, but these are even closer. So, tough, but it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. So what were your thoughts on what we saw last night and tonight so far? Besides, it
I mean, it's a
doesn't.
one groove track.
Yeah, nobody could pass on the bottom.
I mean, it's a two groove track, but if you want to pass, you got to be on the top.
Yeah, like guys used to pass on the bottom, but it doesn't
There's
look like.
very, I mean, there are some passing on the bottom, but you're not going to pass the leader for the bottom.
Right,
You got to be on the top.
right.
So,
So do you think the optimal restart position, if you're not in first, is behind the leader on top?
the optimal restart position,
If you're second,
if you're second,
is behind the leader on top, you think? Rather than the bottom?
it depends. If you go into that restart with the intention that you're going to drive that outside line to the top, I think you have a shot. But if you're going to try to go door to door, straight out and not try to push them up, I think you're in trouble. So,
Yeah.
But I mean, if you try to drive them to the top, I think you have an opportunity, a chance.
All right. Well, our favorite race of the year, Bristol Night Race, manufacturers. We'll talk about what we saw in practice, but as of right now, how are you ranking the manufacturers tomorrow?
Well, let's start with this. Like, did you look at the pre-practice odds on the manufacturers?
Yes.
What did you think of them?
I thought that the number on Hendrick and
Oh,
Roush.
hold on. Are we talking teams or manufacturer?
Oh, actually, no, I didn't look. I looked at the teams. I didn't look at
Okay.
what the prices were on Chevy, Ford, and Toyota. No.
Okay. All right. Well, Toyota was minus number,
To-
and Chevy and Ford were like 185. Like I thought, like they were really, really low, really low.
But if you base that off what you saw in March, 3 of the fastest cars on the track were Ty Gibbs, Marty, and Denny.
Correct, no doubt. I always said to check your phone, but I mean, like you just can't say that a manufacturer is a minus number.
Coop, Hocevar's 15-1 to top 5. He can't top 5 at 15-1.
I mean, he could, but I don't know.
Jesus Christ. So all right. So where are you at? Do you rank Chevy 1?
I
Toyota?
mean, after practice, you got to rate Chevy 1.
I mean, Alex Bowman gets the pole, Larson second, Byron third. All 400 cars are in the top 10. They looked really, really good in practice. And if you look at the lap averages,
Like, how much do you take into practice?
well, if we think about what we've seen last night and tonight and what happened in practice there, I would like to think tonight that Allgaier, if something doesn't happen to him, is the best car on the track, and he's probably wins. Chandler Smith was the fastest guy in practice. He finished third. Cole Custer kind of came out of nowhere. Last night was surprising. Like Lane Riggs, while we thought that Lane Riggs was going to run well, he didn't blow the doors off of practice. Neither did Raj.
Lane Riggs, I think, was in the top 2 or 3, if not the top,
Let me check.
for some of the lap averages in
I thought
practice.
I thought it was Hyman Eckes for some reason.
But like, I don't know. I don't know how much I can put into practice today because the cars that came off the track first were the best cars in practice. The
Lane
cars
Riggs,
that
You're right. Lane Riggs was the fastest 10, 15, and 20. So that translated over.
like they came out, and like how they came out was how they finished in practice, basically. If you came out early, you finished well in practice.
Was
If you
that the
didn't come out, if you didn't come out early, like Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, I can't think of any. There was some other ones too. Like you didn't have good practice numbers, so like I don't know. Like you go back and you look at it, like Denny and Chase, like they were nowhere near the top 10 in practice numbers,
right?
but they qualified in the top 10.
Right.
So I don't even know if Bowman was that great in practice.
He was no. Well, here's the thing with Bowman though. He was the 7th fastest in the 15, the 5th in the 20, the 4th in the 25, and the 3rd in the 30.
Right, so he probably came out early. But like if you look at Denny Hamlin, you look at Chase Elliott, you look at Kyle Busch, like I know they waited 10, 15 laps before they got on the track.
Yeah.
And it hurt their practice numbers. So, I mean, you know, I don't know how much stock you can put into practice anyways with Denny Hamlin. You know,
How
he's like Kevin Harvick, doesn't really, you know, push it hard.
how much passing do you think we're going to see tomorrow, not including the leader? Like, do you think guys are gonna on a long run are gonna be able to run from 13th to 3rd?
I think if you have a really good car, yeah, you could. Like at the beginning of the race, I think we saw Jesse Love tonight. You know, he started in the top 10. He was in the top 5. But like, it's going to be tough. The thing is, like, if you go from 13th to 3rd, you're probably 5 seconds behind the leader.
Right.
You know, or through 4 seconds. Just depends upon the traffic and things of that nature.
So let's say you're gonna 80% throw practice out. At that point, what's your strategy to bet the race? Teams?
Well, besides, I know I just talked about practice and how bad it was and stuff like that, but I don't think you can discount Hendrick Motorsports. They're going to be good.
I'm with you
All right?
there.
And it shows like that engine has something that others don't. Because who's in the top 10?
Top 10?
Redo order to me.
Yeah. Hold on. Top 10 is Bowman, Larson, Byron.
All of them are Hendrick Motors engines.
Marty 4th, Briscoe 5th, Bell 6th. Then you got Hocevar 7.
He gets his engines from HMS.
Which is why we're going to bet him at 15-1, the top 5. Denny 8, Corey LaJoy, and Chase Elliott 9 and 10.
And both of them have obviously Hendrick Motors too, and engines too. So like there's something that they got going on. But yeah, I like the teams. I've liked the teams all week, to be honest with you.
Now, wouldn't you agree that if, let's say, tire wear is just not a thing tomorrow? That, in my mind, that bumps Bowman, Larson, Byron, and Elliott. That bumps them up. Like, it makes me like them more if there's no tire wear in this race.
Yeah, it makes me like Hendrick Motorsports more. And Joe Gibbs Racing less.
Yes. That's where I'm at. Which I was stunned.
Same with RFK.
Right. Which I was stunned to see the price on Hendrick to win the race. I can't believe that price.
Let me go back. I think it can bump up Chris Bell and Ty Gibbs.
You know,
I think it's a hurt for Denny and Marty.
Gibbs was the fastest kid on the track in March. But Coop, we say that like so often, and he just never gets there.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, I put in the game plan. Like, I know it's Ty Gibbs, but like he's led a lot of laps, and not just this last, but the last 2 Bristol races.
Yeah. All right. So you would rank it Chevy, Toyota, Ford?
Yeah, I think Ford's a distance.
Yeah, it's basically where I'm at. All right, let's go down the odds board. We got some outrights at Bet365 and top 5s too. They're starting to pop up. I'll go down Bet365. Denny 450, Larson 450. I mean, I have no problem with those 2 guys being the favorite at this track. Do you?
No, I mean, You get rid of tire troubles, Denny has been phenomenal here. He has 2 wins, and then his other results, he was running well and had tire issues. And then if you look at Larson, the last 3 races here, he's finished in the top 5. So
I'll tell you who I didn't expect to be 5-1, Coop. Chris Bell's 5-1 at Bet365, and he's the 3rd choice. What is his track history here? Like, is he very good here?
I think he's solid. Solid.
Would you have thought he would be the 3rd choice to win the race?
No, I think there's a couple other drivers. Like, I think probably based upon the economy that we're in right now, with the way they're placing the odds, I think 10-1 would probably be fair on Chris Bell.
Okay. After Chris Bell, Ty Gibbs and Ryan Blaney are 9-1. Have we jumped the shark now on Ty Gibbs at 9-1, Coop? 9-1, dude?
I mean, they're basing it off numbers. And I mean, like, again, all right, he won both stages here in the spring. He led laps in the last year's race here. The guy, has done a lot. He just hasn't been able to finish it. Like, if you're a bookmaker, what are you going to put him at? How much liability do you want to carry with the kid?
I guess.
Like, I get it from our side. It's tough to bet at 9-1. All right. But, from their side, I mean, if what number would you be betting them at?
15.
Okay.
Maybe he should be at this point. I just think 9's a little low.
Yeah.
After him, Ryan Blaney, also 9-1, fastest guy in practice on the 10, the 15, the 20, the 25. What's your thoughts on Ryan Blaney?
So there was a time in Ryan Blaney's life for about 2 years where he was really good here.
It was him, and I remember either him and Denny got into it or him and Elliott got into it, right?
The results don't show that.
Right.
But if you look at the number of laps led and things like that, and I think it was 2 races in a row where he basically was like what happened to Justin Allgaier tonight, where he was the leader and he just got caught up in somebody else's junk. I think that no tire wear is a big advantage for Ryan Blaney. I think that if there is tire wear, it's a big disadvantage for him.
How are you? This is what I don't understand about NASCAR. How are you the fastest guy in practice at every level, and then you qualify 22nd? Like, I don't understand how that works. I know it's only 1 lap. I get that. But, like...
Well, I mean, did he have a bad lap? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to go back and look.
And then if he didn't have a bad lap, then you got to look at the setup. Something probably wasn't right with the setup. But, I get what you're saying. Like, I can't bet him 9-1 when he's starting 22nd.
Right. Yeah. Like, if he was starting 5th, I think we would probably have a Ryan Blaney ticket. I'm with you, though. 22nd is tough. Real tough. After Ryan Blaney, Byron 10-1, Marty 12-1. That number on Will Byron is fucking wild. Why is he 10-1 and Chris Bell is 5-1?
Yeah, I mean, he was 22-1 before practice, which I thought was pretty egregious, to be honest with you. Because, like, if you look at William Byron's stats here, they're really good.
Let's take a look.
The one problem for William Byron at this track, he's never led a lap. Like, he has a bunch of 3rds, 4ths, 5th place finishes.
But that's his MO.
But he hasn't led a lap. Hasn't let a lap.
So he finished. Oh, yeah, there's no way. He finished 35th, but he only completed 492 laps last race. So he must have had an issue. Last year he finished 9th, but he was in the top 10 all day. Year before that,
He was finished 5th or 6th. It was in the top 10 all day.
third.
I think that 35th was the one outlier.
Yeah.
Like if we can get him at 12, I have interest in him. 10, I don't know.
All right. After him, Marty 12-1. I mean, you got to take Marty seriously, but like you said, I mean, if tire wear isn't a thing, that hurts him.
Right, it does hurt him. Definitely hurts him a lot. But like, if you look at some of the guys we just talked about, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex, William Byron, like they have a lot of bad mojo entering this race. A lot.
We're capping mojo now, Coop?
Like their finishes have been horrendous lately.
Oh yeah, Denny hasn't won a race in 4 months.
Yeah.
It's
Same with
been
Will
bad.
Byron. I just lost the under in the Syracuse game, but Syracuse is winning at least.
You have him tied to something?
Cole Custer.
Oh, good. Get that home at least.
Well, I got to get the other game home too, but you know.
What game?
Illinois, Nebraska.
Which side? Nebraska?
Yeah.
San Jose State's they're trying to go up 14-7.
But like I know we talk I talk about it a lot, man. Like mojo means a lot.
Yeah. Well, momentum. You know? Like you always talk about momentum.
And then like the other piece you got to think about too is this is a cutoff race for the playoffs.
Oh, this ends a round?
This ends a round.
That's big.
Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex are at or below that line. So they're going to want to, I mean, not.
So what do? Do you go for the win or do you just get to the next round?
Well, that's the thing. Like it's different than the road courses because like you're not really like the stage points, you know, you're just going to pit when you have to pit with everybody else. I don't think you're going to stay out or anything. But like, does it make them drive more cautiously? Does it make them drive more, aggressively? I don't know.
My gut says cautiously. Like, I think they're trying to get to the next round.
Like my gut says that like the head of Denny Hamlin right now is really in shambles.
Especially with all the shit that's going on off the track, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, he is one. He has a lot of money invested. A lot of his money invested in the 23XI.
Mm-hmm.
And right now he's taking a stand on this charters, and he hasn't signed, the charter deal for next year. So that's in the back of his head a lot, big time. Continuously being able to, have issues, race after race after race. And granted, it's not all his doing, but man, his head's messed up.
Is he the only charter that hasn't signed?
There's one more. I can't think of it off the top of my head of who it is. But yeah, there was one more team that did not sign it too.
4th and goal on the 2. What do you do here? This is going to suck. All right. After Marty, we got 4 very interesting names.
Matt Jones says it's front row.
Oh, okay. Front row is that's where Marty used to drive, right?
No, that's Furniture Row.
Oh, right. All right. 4 names that are very interesting. Brad Keselowski, 14-1. Alex Bowman, 16-1. Chris Buescher, 20-1. Chase Elliott, 20-1. All 4 of those guys could win tomorrow, right?
Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski,
Chase Elliott, and Chris Buescher. From 14 to 20-1. Like, I think Kez has a win here in the last couple of years, or Buescher does. Kez finished like 3rd in March. I mean, they've been very strong here in this new car.
I can't bet RFK right now. I'll do it
because where they're starting on the grid.
Right.
So
Bowman's tough to bet at that number.
At 20-1 on the fucking pole? What do you want? You just said to me, these Hendrick motors have something. And you don't like the guy on the pole that's at the best number of all of them?
When was the last time you saw Alex Bowman dominate a race?
Probably when Yeg and I bet him fucking 18 times.
That was what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, but I mean, he has wins though, right? Didn't he win like?
Yeah, I mean, all his wins.
Pick up the pieces wins
have come picked up the pieces, or they've been 5 laps left. He did pull a great pit stop off, and he was able to win it at the end. I don't know. I like Byron more than Bowman. I just don't. I don't know. I just can't do Bowman.
What about Chase? I'm betting him, I think, at 20-1. That number's crazy. He's unbelievable here historically.
Chase is interesting. He's a top 10 machine here. Top 10 machine.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Top 5 maybe. I don't know. I like if I was betting 2 Hendrick cars, that would be Byron and Larson.
So if you're betting 3 guys, if you're picking 3 people to win the race tomorrow night, it's Denny, Larson, and Byron.
Yeah, those would be my top 3.
I'd have to think about it. Definitely Larson and Byron. I think I agree there. I don't know what to think about Denny lately. You know what this feels like though, Coop? These are the kind of races where like Chris Bell will come out of nowhere and just fucking dominate. Like I could see that happening. And the fact that he's 5-1 scares me a little. That scares me a little. All right. After those guys, Joey, 25, Berry, 25. What do you think about them? Ford didn't look great. Only 2 Fords qualified in the top 15. They were both Stewart-Haas cars. Briscoe qualified 5th. Priest 14th. They didn't look great. Penske. I mean, Blaney looked good, but Penske as a whole didn't look great. Where are you at on Joey and Berry?
So like going back to Bell, like he hasn't had a dominant car like we talked about on the short tracks, has he?
Yeah. Yeah,
like
remember that race that we hit Austin Cindric That was a short track. He destroyed that.
Yeah, that was Iowa, I think, wasn't it?
Less than a mile though, right?
Yeah, right. Drives different than this, but yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah,
Blaney too in that race.
I don't disagree with you about what you said about Bell. Like he could just come and shit on us.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, he scares me a
So
little.
right. Um. So who are the two guys you're asking me about? Barry.
Berry and Logano at 25 and 28.
I don't like Barry without the tire wear. And I think it's an improvement for Joey Logano.
Okay. I'll buy that. A guy that we almost never see at 28 to 1, Tyler Reddick.
You know, he was 150 to 1.
150. Did you bet it?
No, I didn't see it. I just heard about it.
150, huh?
Yeah.
That's how little of a chance the books think he has.
Yeah. I think it was supposed to be 15.
What do you think he's a threat? Like, what's he done at Bristol historically?
Nothing. But going back to Alex Bowman, like he's got that first pit stall, which is a big deal here.
Right.
Which is a plus for him.
I think he can hang around, Coop. I do. And I'll tell you what, do we have a top 5 number on him? Because the fact that he's 20 to 1, I bet you the number is not going to be, he's 240 to top 5 at Bet365. That's not terrible.
No. I think if you go back and you look at like the history, like starting position doesn't mean a lot here. Like you don't see a lot of guys that start in the top 10, finish in the top 10, like you do some other tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can start 35th and 26th and 17th and get in the top 10 here. Obviously, some of it has to do with volatility and things of that nature. When the cautions fall, when you pit, when you don't fit too. But I don't know. I don't like, some tracks we talk about, you start in the top 10, like 6 of them finish in the top 10, 7 of them finish in the top 10. I don't think this is one of them.
Yeah. So I don't disagree with that.
Like my concern with betting like an Alex Bowman who's starting first is if he gets back to 15th or 16th or 17th.
Could he drive
because of some type of pit, strategy or things like that? Can he drive back up there? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's
my concern. And I mean, it's not just Alex Bowman. I could name like Chris Bell. Would he be able to do it? Marty, would he be able to do it?
So do you think if like you get buried in the field, you're in trouble?
I don't know if you're in trouble, but it's obviously puts a lot of pressure on you because the leader's not going to be far behind you to put you a lap down because of how short the track is. All right. So it makes you drive more aggressively. It's definitely not an advantage. If you get put back there, like you just don't drive from 20th to 5th here. Like you got to have some help with cautions, So,
yeah,
I do think track position is important.
All right, Chase Briscoe, 30 to 1, starting in the top 5.
Yeah, same with Barry. I just can't
feel the same way.
Like they've been pretty good here, Stuart Haas in general.
Oh yeah,
but I think the tire wear really hurt them being a winner. So I've definitely watched both of them during the race.
After that, I don't. Oh, well, Chastain is starting 12th and Bubba is starting 11th, and they are 30 and 30.
Bubba's had some good results here. He's
Yeah,
led
I was
laps
just
and
gonna say
things
that.
of that nature. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Bubba's
So
been
I
pretty
mean,
legit.
but I mean, like, I feel like Bubba's like betting Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It's kind of like the same guy at this point,
But
except
I mean,
Gibbs,
different genders and stuff like that and all that. But like, you know,
Gibbs shows more speed, but like neither of them get it done in the end.
hmm hmm
Yeah,
unfortunately, they don't.
I
Oh
know.
man, gonna lose this game. Stanford's got the ball, 1st and 10 at the 18. Oh well.
After Bubba, KB 35, and then the odds are like 70, 80, 100, 100. What do you think about KB?
I watch him during the race. I can't bet him, pre-race. I've been a big KB fan here the last couple of weeks because of what he's done.
You have.
But when Austin Dillon came out and did really well at Richmond, he also practiced well. KB didn't practice well, although KB was in one of the ladder cars to get onto the track. So his results could be misleading. But where he's starting, we'll have plenty of time to see what happens with KB.
All right. Top fives and top tens are up at Bet365. Any top fives interest you?
I can't do top threes and top fives this week just because, like, if you look at the last 6 races here, Kyle Larson's really the only driver that has a bunch of top fives. After that, it's like this driver has 0, this driver has 1, this driver has 2. Like, there's not a bunch. Like, there's just so much volatility in it. Top tens maybe a little bit more interesting.
Well, I'm looking at the top fives, and I see one guy that I will be putting a quarter unit on.
Carson Hocevar.
That's right, at 15 to
Wow.
1. Because if you're right and those Hendrick motors are fucking juiced to the tits, that kid could drive, bro. And he could
Yeah.
drive at Bristol.
What's his top 10 number?
4 to 1, Cooper.
Yeah, I'd be more interested in that.
Yeah, we're going to bet them both, buddy.
Top 10. I mean, the top 5.
We're going to bet them both.
So, my concern with Hocevar is the pit team.
Yeah, fair. If they're on the money, he's got a shot. But if they're not, he could get buried.
Also, like, I don't know if experience is like huge here, but he doesn't have a lot of experience here.
He could just drive that car though, man. He's good.
Mm-hmm.
Denny, so the top 10, your top 10 starting points, they got Denny and Kyle Larson at minus 400.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's aggressive.
Because last week, is that 365?
Yeah.
Yeah, last week they were 250.
Yeah. So minus 400, and Chris Bell is minus 360 to top 10.
Yeah. Probably be staying off of them. Just because you're going to need 2 legs of a parlay to get him to even money.
Right. Gibbs and Blaney and Byron all about minus 225, minus 200.
Yeah.
They're making you pay for it this week.
Yeah, which is weird. Like, I wonder why. Like, it's so different from this race versus Watkins Glen. Because the starting points last week were minus 250.
Right. I think the Byron number isn't bad. Minus 200. We can get that to plus 150.
Yeah, I don't mind that one.
Marty's minus 190. I don't know how you feel about
What's Chase Elliott?
minus 120.
Yeah, I think if I were to do, I'm not looking at it right now, but if I were to do two, those would probably be two that interest me.
Yeah.
Elliott and Byron. What's Bubba?
Plus 130.
I mean,
He could top 10 here.
yeah, he could. You
So
said you
there.
have odds.
What?
You have odds for 365?
Yeah, top 5,
Yeah.
top 10, and outright.
I just have championship odds.
All right, I got to go to Caesars for the rest. Winning team.
So wait, hold on.
Okay.
What other top tens? Any other ones that interest you?
I don't mind your Bubba call.
What's Busher and Keselowski?
I'm betting Hocevar. Busher is the same price as Elliott, minus 120. Kez is minus 180. I think that, like, if you're going to bet the top tens, you got to throw Denny, Larson, Bell out. I'm not betting Gibbs at minus 225. That price is fucking egregious. I think you're looking at Byron, Marty, Kez, maybe Bowman, depending on how you feel about him. Elliott and Busher.
What's Bowman?
Minus 150.
Yeah.
And I don't mind your plus money call on Bubba at plus 130. But like outside of that, I mean, you're talking about like Tyler Reddick is basically even money.
Yeah.
Berry even money starting 28th. I don't see anybody like maybe Joe. If you think Joey could top 10, I mean he's even. I don't know how you feel about Ryan Preece. He's 5-1 to top 10.
No, he's done well here though. I think I'm just going to stick with Byron and Elliott.
Yeah, I like those two for sure. I'm with you. Those prices are fair, at least. They're fair, at least. All right, winning teams. I can't believe that Hendrick is starting 1, 2, 3, and you can get them to win the race at over 2-1. That's wild. I'm going to be on that. I'm sure you're going to be on that.
Whoa.
I'm gonna hope for a better number than plus 210, which is what Caesars has right now. But I'm probably gonna bet that. I don't think the number on Gibbs Coop is good enough to bet them. Unless
no,
you
I
have,
would just bet I would just bet the drivers.
Yeah. Is there any other team that you like? I think Roush could do it. They could win the race. They're 10-1-ish.
I mean, they're 950, 14 and 20 individually.
Yeah, I think I'd rather just take the 10 and get them both.
Chase Elliott's 22-1 to win Caesars.
So I'm with you. Hendrick for sure, and maybe Roush. The winner of stage 1 wins the race is 5-1.
Like, I looked at that, and the other one's 4-1. Like those,
that must not come through very often because they're good numbers for what they've shown this year. They're bad numbers for what they've shown in the past couple of years. So I have to do some research on that because if they're putting a 5 and a 4 out, when in the past couple weeks to this year, we've seen them like 2-1, 250-1. Like it must not happen very often.
How about this, Coop? Both guys to finish in the top 10, Denny and Larson. What do you think that number is?
Minus 175.
Minus 230. Elliott and Byron, both the top 10, plus 150.
I mean, do you just take that versus trying to parlay them?
I mean, the risk is you could break even.
Oh, yeah.
You know? I don't mind it, though. I think that there's a shot that they both top 10 for sure. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, and Chris Bell, top 5. What do you think that number is?
All
Top
three
5.
of them?
All 3 of them, top 5.
I mean, it probably should be 60-1.
And what do you think it is?
Well, based on your reaction, I'm going to probably say it's like minus 110.
3 plus 330 for them to top. Do you know how hard it is to peg 3 guys? Yeah, of course you do. I mean, what are we even talking about? How do they sleep at night, these fucking people?
Like, I wonder how much action they actually get on that bet.
I don't know. Jesus Christ. Winning manufacturer. Wow, Chevy is plus 180. But do you think that there are any Chevys that could win the race that is an HMS? It's a 30 cent difference.
We'd have to see some variance in one way or the other. But if we don't see it, no.
Top Chevy, Kyle Larson plus 120, Byron 340, Bowman 6-1, Elliott 850. I mean, I almost want to bet Elliott and Byron and just hope they beat the other 2. 850? He's got the best pit crew in the game. 850? That feels egregious. Carson
Like,
Ozars.
how do you bet that? Do you bet Larson to win the race, and then take the other 3 to be the top Chevy? I mean, obviously Larson could finish second and be the top Chevy, and Denny Hamlin could win.
Right. That's the risk. How much better do you think Larson is than the rest Chevys tomorrow? You think like considerably?
I think Byron's right there with him. The thing with Kyle Larson is, like, is he due for variance here?
Man, those numbers are like, if you just try to beat him and take the other 3 guys, you could probably, like, you don't have to do much to make that, like, really worth it.
I mean, you gotta get Byron to 6.
which I think is doable. I mean, like a coin flip line makes that line 680. You're basically going to double on a minus 10.
But I mean, like, Kyle Larson has those 3 top 5s here. So
Yeah, you could get beat. You can get beat up for sure if he just goes out there and shits on everybody, which he's absolutely capable of doing.
So let's see here. So last year, if you take that bet, Kyle Larson finishes second top Chevy.
They're going to score 70 points in this Washington State game. I don't know why I didn't just bet the over. Come on, San Jose. Hang tough for me.
The year before, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Kyle Larson.
I don't know if I'm going to bet them all, but I'm definitely going to bet Elliott. Maybe Byron too. Maybe I just bet those two and hope they beat the other.
The race before that, you lose because Kyle Larson won. So 2 of the 3 you've lost.
Yeah, but that's why they're plus 850, and not plus 120. Top Ford, Ryan Blaney, your favorite, at plus 210. Keselowski 320, Busher 5-1. Briscoe 9-1. I got to tell you, I think I agree. I know that he's starting 22nd, but like if you take practice seriously at all, and like you mentioned, Blaney was very good here for a couple of years, so he knows how to drive. If tire wear's not a thing, it helps him. I think I kind of agree with him being the favorite for Top Ford, even though he's starting where he's starting. Kez and Bush are right behind him. That makes sense. I don't know what to think about Briscoe, though, at like almost 10-1.
I think it's 50-50. You win or you lose on that top Chevy.
Going 2v2?
Or what do you mean 2v2?
Like if I took just Elliott and Byron to beat beat the other two. You think that's 50-50?
My concern is Elliott's starting position versus the other 3.
500 laps is a long race, though. He's only starting 10th.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the best pit crew. What do you think about Top Ford?
Hold on. I'm not done. I'm looking at something real quick. So if you look at the most recent races for Chase Elliott here, he's had his best results when he started his worst.
Really?
So he's started 5th, finished 8th, started 7th, finished 7th, started 4th, finished 25th, started 6th, finished 7th, started 23, finished 2nd, started 13th, finished 1st.
So, like, I like that 850.
But, you know, I will say, though, yeah, one of those results was in this new car, 23rd to 2nd. He's finished 2nd, 7th, and 8th in the new car.
That's not bad.
All right, top Ford. Jeez. I don't think I can bet top Ford. I can't do 900 on Briscoe, 650
Yeah.
on Barry.
It's low.
Can't do that.
Gibbs is 5-1 to be top Toyota. What a world.
Like, I mean, I think it's the same type of situation as what you're facing with,
Chevy.
yeah. Do you try to beat Denny? And the numbers aren't as good.
Yeah.
Like, I would go with the Chevy because the numbers are better and Denny's probably the better driver here than Larson, but not by a lot. Denny's had more issues here than Larson. Larson's due for issues.
I found a bet I like.
On Caesars?
Yeah. Ford versus Chevy. Chevy's only -170. I think we can get that to like +140. That number's wrong. They should be way more than -170.
Now, how does that bet work? Is that just the best Ford versus the best Chevy?
Correct.
And you're 100% sure on that?
Correct. I've bet it before.
Okay. I mean, if you're going to do that, you should do Toyota too.
Chevy's +110 against Toyota. I mean, that's probably
No, Toyota versus Ford.
Oh, Toyota. What's that number?
2.
Yeah. That's fair.
It's 30 cents. I mean, you're basically betting 4 cars versus Ford and 4 Toyotas against Ford.
Right. And if it looks, I'll tell you why I like this bet. If it looks like we can potentially lose that bet, I bet you that we'll be able to get on a Ford. Because you have to think a Ford has to win the race for us to lose that bet, right?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you like that bet better, or do you just want to bet total number of Fords in the top 10 under 3.5?
I like that too. There's no way they're gonna have 4. Ford's gonna basically be like half the top 10. You're gonna need a lot of shit to happen for that to go down.
I mean, you're talking RFK, Penske,
and Blaney, right? Like,
well, yeah, you got to give Barry and Briscoe. You can't count them out to get a top 10. You have 6 drivers.
So 4 out of 6 need to make the top 10 in order for you to lose that bet. And what's the price?
Minus 120. But then look at it like this, okay? Number of Toyotas in the top 10, over 3.5 is plus 140.
That's tough to do, though. You basically got to get all 4 in there. I guess you got Bubba and Reddick, too.
And then over 3.5 Chevys is minus 130. I think I would rather take my shots at Chevy and Toyota beating Ford versus the number of Fords in the top 10.
I would too, but I don't mind that bet.
Because I think it's going to be tough for Ford to top 5. But I could see them 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, something like that, maybe. Even then, I don't think I see 4 top 3. And you got to think a Toyota and a Chevy finish in the top 3.
Right.
So I like the manufacturer against each other bets versus going over or under.
Group bets. I don't mind some of these groups.
Like, I don't mind taking a shot at Chase Elliott in Group B.
Yeah. I think Ryan Preece at 410 could win Group A. I like Group F too, if we can get the number up on Byron. You could take him and Elliott over Reddick and Busch.
Can you tell Byron and Elliott?
Yeah, Byron plus 140, Elliott 240 against Reddick and Busch.
What about Group C, Adam?
He's a Carson Hocevar plus 210.
Like, I think at that point you either need to decide, do you think he can get a top 10 and take a shot at 4-1, or do you just take the shot at him winning this group? Because you don't want to get like super invested in Carson Hocevar.
Are there any other guys in that group that you think that could beat him? Preece, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
That's all I really see at Caesars worth talking about.
Yeah, but I don't mind some of them.
Yeah, I don't mind some of the groups. I don't mind the manufacturer bets.
See if DK put anything up. Nope. I wonder if FanDuel's just gonna like throw the white flag because of the Reddick bet. Should have bet that frickin' over in that game. Would have got it.
Nothing up at ESPN. Only outrights up at MGM.
FanDuel doesn't have it.
VR's got nothing really.
Just check our favorite book.
Fanatics? What book?
Yeah. They got some odds up. Let's see. Race winner. They're tight. Nothing in the race winner. Looks like they're the same. It's 365 for the top tens. Exact same. And that's all I have. 3, 5, and 10 in the winner.
Yep, that's it. That's all we got.
So I think Caesar's led us on to some good ones. We'll have to look and see what the other books open up tomorrow. Are you going to tie this shit to football or what?
I mean, there's nothing else going on.
College football or professional?
Probably pro. I feel much better in general about the NFL than I do college.
So you're really going to like get no sleep tomorrow night then?
I mean, you know, I'll sleep. So what time is the race tomorrow?
7:30.
7:30. So we'll probably go live at 3 for the afternoon slate. And we'll go right into the race for subscribers. Subscriber only show tomorrow. All right, boys. You guys have a general idea of what Coop and I are thinking about. Everything will be on the website for you guys before the race tomorrow. I'm not gonna add any college football. I'll just bet it live tomorrow with the boys. And then that's it. Let's keep the momentum going. So far, so good this weekend. Let us pray. All right, we're out. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 3 p.m. for subscribers. Aside for that, for Coop, I'm Keg. We're out. Later.